Good evening. A couple of minutes early tonight. Now, why not? It's an exciting season all of a sudden. I'm Buddy Martin. This is the Buddy Martin Show, which comes to you 4 times weekly, sometimes more. Glad to be with you tonight. My last night here in Ocala, staying at the home of my good friend and my high school football mentor, Carswell Ponder. It's been a great time staying at Carswell's, and we really appreciate his hospitality. Many nice people in Ocala. I'll tell you about some I saw today. One of the former Gator, now a dentist, Joey Sorrentino. I'll tell you about that. So, where do we start tonight? My goodness gracious. This is one of the craziest things I've seen ever in college football. And if this thing actually works and the turnaround looks like it's happening is in fact completed and this team goes on to win, it will be one of the most remarkable seasons of any college football team in history. The hits keep on coming. More flips today. They're doing an amazing job of getting recruits. They're going to make the top 10 with their recruiting class. And it's going to be a fascinating next couple of weeks to see where this team goes. A lot of questions to answer, like what bowl game will they go to, etc. All that tonight. Talk about here on the Buddy Martin Show. Invite your participation and your 2 cents worth. Shane Matthews will be along shortly to join us tonight, give us his thoughts about the game. And let's just do this. Let's go see if we can get the show started tonight. Meldon Law Monday. It's going to be a good one. A lot of activity, a lot of excitement out there. Well, this slide is bright tonight for the Gator Nation. And rightfully so. It's been an amazing time. Aren't you glad you stood there and hung on and didn't give up? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's what you do when you stay behind your team and you stay true. And the amazing thing was the players stayed true to it. They didn't drop off. They didn't quit. They didn't say I'm done. Like many teams have, and the ones that did, probably pretty sorry now that they did that. All coming up right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Come and join us tonight right here.
Buddy Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking, but be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Did this just happen? Somebody pinched me. My goodness, this just keeps on happening. And I tell you, starting with 4 weeks ago, starting really on the 13th of November when they practiced, this team completely turned around. One of the marvelous coaching jobs done by anybody I've ever seen. And now the way they're flipping people, I mean, wasn't there a TV series called Flipper, written by some Ocala guys, by the way? Clipper was a dolphin. The way things are going, then Dip Flipper may have to be a Gator. Do you realize what they've done? They've now gotten 11 players in 15 days to flip. Now, these are some of the top players. These are not just everyday. It'd be one thing to say they signed them because mixed in there's some 2 and 3 stars, etc. But they flip from other schools and name schools, most of them. So this Gator football team is fortifying itself, getting ready for next year and the year after. And what a performance by the defense on. I'm going to talk to Shane. In fact, let's go to talk to Shane right now. I'm going to talk about these commitments. Shane doesn't get too much into this, as I know many of you don't, but still, it is significant that this team is doing so well. And let's go see. There's Shane right there. Good evening to you, Shane.
What's up, buddy?
You're watching little Browns, I can tell. Browns Broncos going on, right?
Yeah.
Well, Shane, sitting up there as you were, and I'm going to get into these flips and some of these things in a minute, because it's been incredible last 15 days. They've suddenly got all these terrific players. And I know, well, people say, well, they're not signed. Yeah, doesn't matter. The momentum shift is what's important here. And something has happened in this program, and between what Billy's done, the coach has done, the players have done, team has done, etc. It has really caused people are talking about all over the country now. So before we get into all that, let me just say I find this astonishing right here. I'm going to go ahead and read it all because even though you don't follow recruiting that closely, and I don't either, even fools can figure this out right here. So today they got one more. Hilton Stubbs. He was committed to Miami and Southern Cal. 4-star safety from Jacksonville, Mandarin. Flipped from the Hurricanes to the Gators in a recruiting stunner, apparently what they're calling it. So after the amazing visit to the University of Florida on Sunday, decided to decommit to Miami and commit to the Gators. That's a big one. The main reason the decision is my belief in the football program, the incredible opportunity to compete for a national championship. There's something we haven't heard much. Billy Napier, national championship. He sees it. Coach Napier's vision, leadership, and genuine approach stood out to me. I'm confident he's building something special and Gainesville excited to play for a coach who prioritizes development both on and off the field. Go Gators. Well, here's the thing, Shane. Here's who has flipped the last 3 weeks. Listen to this. Hilton Stubbs, 5-star safety from Miami. They call him 5. There's others who call him 4. Defensive lineman Joseph Mabachu, who was at Texas, coming to Florida. Offensive lineman Tavares Dice, Auburn, is flipped over. Edge rusher Jaden Woods, Penn State, is coming over. Running back Brian Luis from FSU. Hello. Quarterback Tramal Jones, FSU. Bingo, another one. Linebacker Ty Jackson, who's a 4-star. And you've got others like a guy named Tukara from Arizona, Medlock, Cincinnati, Shivers from Georgia, and Pierre Louis from FSU. 3 FSU guys. All right, Shane, even someone like you who's just remotely interested in these guys, and you said it a million times, and you're right, they're not Gators yet. What do you think of that?
No, it's great. I mean, majority of them, if they're going to sign, they're going to sign next week. So we'll know if they're definitely coming or not, which I think they are. Our NIL deal obviously is working. Winning 3 games in a row is working. It'll be interesting to see if who they go after in the portal. That's what I'm anxious to see.
I know you're looking at wide receivers. Shane, you talk to a lot of people in college football. What are they saying about what's going on in Florida? Is it real? Are these guys that will stay with Billy? Because there has been a loyalty factor here we didn't expect. They're going to lose a couple of guys. I think they lost a couple. Andy Jean has flipped over. And another kid, Justice Boone, who was a good player. But apparently can't get on the field now. They're flipping. So you're going to win some, lose some. But boy, oh boy, overall, this team can be fortified. Now, as you say, recruiting is next. They get them committed. They're ready to go now with a quarterback, a running back. And I think the biggest untold story, Shane, has been the defense. The defense on Saturday was magnificent.
Yeah, I think that's been the key to the last 3 or 4 weeks defensively. What they've done, they simplified things. We play a ton of zone defense. Just keep the ball in front of you, and the D line's gotten after it. I think Triquez Bridges has been outstanding in the secondary, playing multiple positions. Jack Pyburn does a lot of stuff that doesn't show up in the box score that Banks has played well, but overall, there's no question the defense has been the story of the last few weeks.
You probably heard and read about this Wednesday, the 13th of November, when they are coming off of the Texas defeat and they were pretty down, and they found something at practice that day. And they've all talked about it, players and coaches. There was something that day in practice that clicked on. And now since that time, they've been playing lights out. Have you heard about that? If so, what do you know about it?
I'm not aware of that. I feel like they've played better ever since the bye week leading up to the UCF game. I think that's when, in my opinion, that's when things changed. But no, I'm not aware of it, whatever Wednesday practice
Something
was.
happened that day. They said they came away with a new perspective and a belief and commitment, and they played like it. So I don't know. I mean, have you ever had anything like that as a player where you came away from practice and feel like we turned the corner today?
No, I don't. I mean, I can't say I have. Practices. I mean, practices are important, but all I cared about were the games, quite honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you were a different kind of cat, and Danny was that way too. But there are players. There's something I want to know more about this. I've talked to Scott Carter. He'll join us later about this. He sensed that there's something really going on. And here's the other thing. Scott had a terrific comment. I loved it in his Twitter about how all the things that happened after the game with the dust up and and obviously the the big issue of putting the spear down or in the logo, et cetera, et cetera. Your first reaction is saying, "Oh no, don't do that." Why not? Look at what FSU's done all these years, Shane. Starting the graveyard, clipping grass from places, they invited it with that spear they put down their own logo. I don't know. And Scott said, I love it about college football. There's some things about that that really are interesting and fun. It was quite a night. What's your take on that? Good for football or bad?
It doesn't bother me at all. There weren't flags around when I played. Nobody had those, but I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, kids, it's been a long year. I mean, it happened all around college football on Saturday.
It did. 4 places.
None of that. I don't really care about any of that stuff. I mean, nobody was hurt. That's the bottom line. I really don't have a comment on it, buddy. Didn't bother me one bit.
Mike Norvell thought it was pretty lousy out there getting in Billy's face, telling him like Billy could turn that around. He was obviously butthurt, as they say. He should be after the way his team played. And he was getting after them saying, pull that spear up, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. Here's what I'll say about that. If you don't like that, don't lose the game. Right? Like Coach Spurrier says, you don't like us running up the score on you? Do something about it. And I look at it the same way. Now, is that something that should probably change? Yeah, probably. Way back in the day before I was around the game, they had these little modest things like the old oaken bucket and Paul Revere's axe and all that sort of stuff, which was sort of peacefully supervised. It's always been part of the tradition. Can you tell me the name of the artifact or trophy or that is awarded to the winning team of the Miami, Florida series? Do you know it?
Miami, Florida, or Florida State?
Miami, Florida.
I have no idea.
And Shane, you're one of the illustrious football players in the history of Florida.
I've never heard of it. I didn't know Miami and Florida played for anything.
The Seminole War Canoe.
You mean Florida State?
No, that is not. It is the Miami. It is the Miami. That's what you think it's Florida State, but it's a Seminole War Canoe. And it's in the presence of Miami now. No one even knows we have it. I'd say go win the game and bring it back. So that's what it is. Now, I don't know how you feel about these other things like old Oakland Bucket, et cetera, but I don't know.
Why the hell would Miami have it?
What?
Why does Miami have it?
Because it's a canoe they've been giving back and forth for 40 or 50, 60 years. The tradition started long before the Seminoles were really that big.
So you're trying to tell me this canoe is between the 3 schools?
Nope. It's just between Florida and Miami. That's what's funny.
We were talking about my
point is,
why is it called the Seminole canoe then?
Because the Seminoles were the Indian tribe here. A long time before Florida State got involved in it, that this thing was going on. I didn't do this, Shane. I'm just telling you a fact. I know it.
Yeah, I'm asking a question. I was confused because
I know
you were telling me Miami had it because I thought you were saying we had it because we beat Florida State. Regardless, I don't know if any football player that's played here knows that. because nobody cares.
Yeah, some do because we read about it before and talked about it, but many years ago. And it's strange, but it's not very big. I don't know if those things matter anymore. You think the little brown jug and the old Oaken bucket and all that stuff up in the Big Ten was a big deal. I've never heard much about it. Doesn't mean much. Anyway, the fact is you get bragging rights. Florida now didn't make it they didn't get make championship game, but they did kind of turn the season around. How far did they go, Shane? How far are you ready to say it's a turnaround yet?
I mean, you can end the season winning 8 games if you win your bowl game, and I think it'll be a somewhat successful season. But I think when you look at next year, I think you have to win at least 9 games, minimum.
Yeah. Brett English remembers it. So no work knows. Exactly right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say right now, based on what we know and seen in recent weeks, it's been a sensational success. You couldn't say that 3 weeks ago, but you can say it now. This has been unbelievable. Not only have they ended the season on winning games, a 7-5 record winning, and now going to a bowl game, but they now have recruited people. It's getting the attention of the national players. They're coming here. I mean, I don't know what a turnaround is. It looks pretty much like one to me, at least. So, Shane, you call the game. I know you didn't like the booth you were in up there at FSU. Most of them are rat traps anyway.
Well, no, I didn't. Not the booth. I just think their stadium is a dump.
Shane, France calls it the erector set. Yeah, it is a dump, and most stadiums these days are dumps for the most part, except for brand new ones. What was it like being there, seeing this team win? The crowd was again enthusiastic. What is it? What could you sense the crowd getting into it a lot?
I mean, it was a weird crowd because the stadium wasn't full due to their construction. I didn't think we played very well, quite honestly. I thought Florida State might be, outside of Mississippi State, the worst team we've played all year. I could not believe how bad they were, buddy. It was a game I had no doubt that we were going to win going into it after watching some tape.
You've been saying it all year. You've called it way back when.
Well, I didn't think they were very good.
They were this bad, though.
Oh, no, they're horrible. They are a really bad football team. I think that's another reason why Mike Norvell was so upset. It has not been a good year, and it was a good win for us. I know our kids enjoyed it. I know the coaches were excited, but that is a bad Florida State team, and it was fun to watch how bad they were.
Yeah. Norvell's got a mess on his hands. I mean, hiring Gus Malzahn, they can't beat him individually, so they're going to, put together 2 guys. That shocked me, Shane. The new offensive coordinator at Florida Seminole, going from UCF, he bailed. He saw the light.
Yeah, it was surprising. I guess he just wants to call plays. I mean, he left a lot of money on the table leaving UCF. They hired some defensive coaches, I think, from Nebraska to be their defensive coordinator. So they're changing a lot. I think that program's in trouble for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, the whole state of Florida is really not doing much in college football except for Florida now. How about Miami losing to Syracuse, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, but it looks like Miami's still going to make the playoffs.
They should, based on what we know. But there's a whole lot of things going on. I'm going to talk about that in a minute when we get back and get here with Scott joins us and talk about what they got to. It's hard to follow this thing exactly, but we know now that there's some key games here that are going to have to take place. What's going to happen in all these games? And I never thought I'd see some of these names on the board. SMU, Arizona State, Indiana, not teams we had penciled in at this point in time. You have your top 12 pick?
No, you can't really do it until the playoff games are over. I mean,
as of this point, do you have it? As of this point, do you have your top 12? It's going to be, they're going to pick it tomorrow night.
Well, tomorrow night's not the final one.
No, I know. I just wonder what you thought right now.
I haven't really looked at it, quite honestly, buddy. I think SMU, regardless of what happens in the ACC championship game, should be in my opinion. I don't know what's going to happen there. I actually think they're going to win the ACC. I mean, Georgia, in my opinion, should be in regardless of what happens against Texas. And then you're going to probably Alabama's probably going to get in over South Carolina and Ole Miss, and I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
I'm not sure if it is either. What do you do about that? Because if you want to go based on how the teams are playing right now, and I'm not a huge Shane Beamer fan like a lot of people are, how can you say that they're not playing better than those other guys? Because they are.
Well, that's true, but then Ole Miss beat them by like 40 in South Carolina.
You go back and forth on that. I get it, but I'm talking about as of right now, who's playing the best. So, all right. So I want to do this. I want to I want to welcome and thank Joey Sorrentino. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He played at Florida. There he is right there. We were at his place as a dentist today. He does a great job, Joey. There he is at Marion Dental. Went over to see him today. And he's just a great guy, and it's great being with him. So Joey's practicing Marion Dental. He's got a place down in Lady Lake, a big one. So if you need a dentist, if you can get in. Dr. Joey Sorrentino, former walk-on defensive back and a guy that Urban Meyer loves as a player, non-scholarship player. So, all right, let's do this. So to do our promo and our spot for tonight for our friends at Meldon Law. We all know Jeffrey, man about town, huge Gator fan, outstanding attorney. I've had pleasure doing business with him on a professional level recently. Could not be more satisfied with what his company's done for me. And he, of course, is a diehard Gator, supports the team. He's the official law sponsor for the injury law firm at University of Florida. He and his son, they do a great job over there. And they also give away a lot of stuff. If you need tickets and things, and I know gymnastics is something that's gotten real big and hot, you can't hardly get them. I would suggest you go to their Facebook page and find out how you might be able to do that, because they're giving away tickets, trips, all kinds of things lately. So check them out. If you need a lawyer, if you want to just talk about Gator sports, go see Jeffrey Meldon Law. They don't back down. All right, so I got this thing, a text the other day. It was yesterday. I was sitting there thinking what I was going to write about. And Scott Carter sent out this text. It got me so fired up about the whole situation. Let's say good evening to Scott. What's up, Scott?
Hey, buddy. How are you doing?
Looks like you're frozen up there, buddy. We can hear you. But go ahead. We can hear you.
Well, no, hey, doing well, man. Just checking in. Monday night. I don't know what happened to my computer there.
Yeah, I've got you. Well, you look good. You got your. I want to.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. This particular.
A little delayed tonight, fellas.
Well, you weren't delayed yesterday, because I used it as an inspiration for a column when you wrote. Do you remember what you said in your tweet, or whatever you call them now?
Yeah, it was what I guess we call them a post now on X. We used to call them tweets, but I was just recapping the night before. I think I got home from Tallahassee like 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. I'm sitting at my computer, and it's about 3, and I'm tired. I'm like, oh, let's see what happened today. And I just tweeted, what was it? Gators beat Seminoles.
Well, here, let me read it to you since you can't remember your own writing. Okay.
Yeah, you read it to me.
Hashtag Gators win. Plant a flag at FSU. FSU players get mad, start scuffle. 3, Knowles coach Norvell whines, refuses to shake hands with Napier. 4, Norvell unplants flag, tosses it. Number 5, Gators smoke cigars. That was a classic. Everybody had cigars. And finally, that's how I like my UF FSU rivalry. Boom. That was
Yeah,
good.
that's what I like when there's
Yeah.
Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators. Shane works with, but he has a little thing. He loves the petty, and I'm kind of like that too. That's what makes college football good, man. All this
It
pettiness
does.
that fires people up on both sides. Let's face it, man. It makes it more fun when you piss off the rival and
Yeah.
they get snarky about you planting a flag there. I wish it hadn't gotten a fight, obviously, but I had no problem with the flag plant. Just like when they come over to Gainesville and they beat us, hey man, if they're gonna do their cut out the turf thing that they like to do, I'm not gonna go over there and stomp on them.
I think they were inches, Shane, away from having something break out there. That was close.
I think there are enough coaches and stuff on the field and police officers. There's just some pushing and shoving.
There's some guys teeing it up too. So if you look at the video, I saw quite a bit of video on it, and it was. Let me get both of you to react to what you saw from Mike Norvell. His response. I know he was upset about losing, upset about his team playing badly, and now he has these invaders from Gainesville coming on his field. He was trying to will it to stop. One person could have stopped that if they wanted to have it, if they wanted to throw it down. But he was everywhere, planted the flag, pulled it out, threw it, and said he's not going to happen on his watch. I don't know about that. He was petulant toward Billy. If you see that famous picture of him looking at Billy like, why are you letting this happen? They had a lot of fun with that one. Anyway, it really showed the worst of him and the best of Billy, I think. Did you get a reaction to that, Scott?
Well, Billy was politically correct in his post game, obviously, and I think we know Billy enough. He's not going to go off script there. It would have been more fun to hear what Spurrier would have said, but Billy obviously, disappointed in, and I truly believe it. I mean, I think he was disappointed in his guys doing that. The fighting part, the whole flag part, man. Again, I don't have a problem with it. And I'm guessing if you talk to Billy away from a microphone, he'd probably be the same way. But you don't want to see a fight break out. But it was instigated in that case by number 63 of FSU. He's the one who came over and kind of got in the face of Gums and some of those other guys. So again, I love that we're still talking about 48 hours, because that means FSU Florida, it might be back. If there might be some fire in this rivalry again, because quite frankly, I feel it's been missing.
Scott, what's funny is you mentioned this morning on my show, 63 is a transfer from UTEP. The guy that planted the flag for the Gators is a transfer from where? Northern Illinois?
Northern Illinois, yeah. So
neither one of them have any ties to this rivalry at all.
Neither one of them are from Pahokee or Ocala.
Right.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's I just like the fact that, like I said, we're talking about 48 hours, and the Gators won, and they kept their momentum going. And I'm kind of excited to see if they can finish off with the bowl win and really ride some momentum. And they've been kicking butt on the recruiting trail the last 3 weeks.
Sure they have. Amazing. What do you make of that, Scott?
Well, I think probably Norvell was a little pissed off about that too, because he's been getting his players flipped by Napier. So maybe that has something to do with it too. But I do believe that, what Florida's doing, they needed to do. And I think you're looking at what, their class, I think it jumped into the top 10 in rankings today, up to 23 players. So I like what they're doing there. They're going to try to finish it strong, obviously, before Wednesday. But I just think it all coincides with the late season surge, beating FSU, flipping some of these recruits, and obviously having built DJ Lagway to build around. So it's the most momentum Florida's carried into the offseason, really, since 2019, when they went 11-2 and beat Virginia in the Orange Bowl. So I feel that's a good sign.
Scott, you're right up there in the middle of it all, with everything going around you. People kind of buzz about what's happened up there around where you are?
Well, I can tell you the mood around the office was a lot brighter on this Monday than some other Mondays. I was telling Shane that earlier this morning. Like, this Monday felt a little different, a little extra bounce. But I just think, and I don't know how this is all going to play out. None of us do. But for the first time, really, in my view, since Billy Napier took over, I think things are kind of primed for this program to finally take that next step. They still got some work to do, but at least we're talking about it in real terms now instead of just, hey, they need another year. They still got to get his roster, blah, blah, blah. I feel like they're where they need to be right now. They just have to, upgrade the roster a little bit and see if DJ Lagway and company can carry the show next year.
I guess what was the most encouraging about it, Shane, was that DJ had just an average game. He made a couple of really great plays, but for him, an average game. And they didn't need him to be perfect to win. As they say, he didn't have his best stuff. The defense bailed him out there. And this team looked more complete in that regard, didn't they, Shane?
Yeah, I like I said, I thought the defense played well at times. I mean, Florida State did have some opportunities where they just looked like the Bad News Bears, right? They drop a punt, give us the ball on like the 5-yard line, and then they had a toss sweep from like the 3, and they just dropped the pitch. But that's where I believe the good fortune has changed. You know, if you look at the last almost the full 3 years of Billy here, I feel like he's been snake bit. Not just him, but the team has.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's trick plays that have been called, double reverses, whatever, it's just been bad luck. Well, that luck has changed. And Coach Spurrier will tell you, when he coached here, the ball bounced his way a lot. And you have to if you're going to win a bunch of games. The ball has to bounce your way, and you got to get some breaks.
Especially those close games, as you say. I wanted to talk about that for a minute. Also, I want to talk about bowl games. I know we are all over the place now with that. Let's bring in France Beard and get his take on this too. First of all, I know France was in Tallahassee. He was probably not very happy to see what happened. France, there was quite a moment there. Someone said, "What would Spurrier say?" I said, Spurrier would have said, "If you don't like us doing that to your field, then why don't you beat us and put a stop to it?" So what'd you think, France?
Well, the only thing that really bothered me was after the stuff at midfield. Okay, the flag's been planted, everything, coming in there and having guys use their cleats to tear up the end zone. That was much. I mean, you didn't have to do that. You've already made your point. You make your point and then you get the hell off the field. And that was the only part about it that I didn't like. But Buddy and Scott, I'm kind of like you guys. It kind of reminds me of the good old days when Doug Johnson missed Bobby Bowden's head by about a half inch with winging a football 40 yards. Goodness, those were the days. I mean, I'm glad Dougie didn't hit Bobby, but I just thought it was kind of fun, and FSU instigated that one
at midfield.
Yep. So, I remember in the 2005 game, Todd McCullough was announced, and the FSU guys were up there calling his mother all sorts of names and stuff like that, and we darn near had a pregame brawl that would have ended it all because Florida had some dudes that could have kicked FSU's butts that one. But you got some. As you said, you got some fire back in the rivalry, and maybe it'll seem like a real rivalry again. They've got a long way to go, though. They hired Gus Malzahn as their OC. They just hired Tony White from Nebraska as their defensive coordinator, and their recruiting class this year, thanks to Florida rating all these good players from them. Their recruiting class is going to be really, really bad. And, we're going to get Solomon Thomas. That you can take that one to the bank, and that's a 5-star offensive lineman. And
Apparently his coach also.
Yeah, his coach will be there. But I'll give you one that's going to surprise you. And they have a 4-star defensive lineman that everybody is saying is going to flip to South Carolina. I heard today that not so fast, my friends. He may be thinking more along the lines of Gainesville, Florida, instead of there.
Yeah.
So
got it going on, that's for sure. Yeah, they got it going on for sure. Let me jump in here while I got these guys, got you all together, because some of you, Shane will be ready to go to bed here after his milk and cookies. And the Manning cast is over. And
no
Scott.
Manning cast tonight.
Oh, Manning cast. So how you're watching TV anyway? That's amazing.
I'm watching the game, but it's not as the same without the Manning.
Yeah. So here's the deal. This looks like now all of a sudden we don't know exactly how things will play out this weekend. We'll see what the final consensus is on the 12-team playoff. But as it sits now, all of a sudden bowl games do matter, to most people. We can sort of speculate here. The latest I heard was the Birmingham Bowl, and somebody put it to Birmingham Bowl, and I think they said, I can't remember, Georgia Tech. I don't think that's going to happen. We've heard a lot of different things, but Shane wants to go to the Music City Bowl. So,
well, I don't think that's going to happen either. I think we're going to be in Jacksonville.
We were going to be in Jacksonville.
That's what I've been saying from day one against the ACC team, either Georgia Tech or Citadel or Clemson, which would be a heck of a game, huh?
It'll be Syracuse. That's who they're gonna. It's either going to be Syracuse or Louisville, and you can
they'll sell it out. They'll sell it out because of number 2, Scott. That guy sells tickets.
Yeah, I mean, that would get some people down if it's Syracuse, you said. I mean, those northern folks would want to come down to Florida that time of year. Haven't played Syracuse since that bad game at the Carrier Dome, right?
No, we beat them in the Orange Bowl.
That's
right, with Donovan McNabb.
There's 6 feet of snow, by the way, in Syracuse, New York tonight. By the way.
Yeah. So that would be interesting.
They will love Jacksonville.
Yeah, and the Gators haven't played over there since, Will Muschamp's first year in 2011. That was their last appearance when they played Ohio State in the Gator Bowl. So they haven't been there in 14 years, 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah, so if that happens, it would happen there, and then we'll see. There's still some unknowns, but I'm sure that Greg McGarity, who runs that bowl, you guys know him from his Florida days.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd like to have the Gators over there.
Yeah. The Gator Bowl, first and foremost, wants to sell tickets. There's nothing like having a full house there. And this game will sell tickets. They'll sell it out. There's nothing worse than you watch TV and they start panning the cameras around the stands, and you see, a 60,000 seat stadium with 30,000 people there.
Yeah,
France, don't you think the 2 teams that don't get in the playoffs, whether it's Alabama, Ole Miss, or South Carolina, 2 of those 3 are going to end up in Tampa or Orlando, wouldn't you say? Because those are bigger tier bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that definitely puts the Gators in Jacksonville, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does. And South Carolina, it's going to be old. I've got a couple of pretty good sources typically on bowls, and I had most of them nailed last year. Ole Miss will be in Tampa, and Alabama in the Citrus Bowl. Now, let me put it this way.
What about South Carolina?
They're going to go. They're either going to go to Texas or to Nashville.
But what if Alabama's in the playoffs?
Well, then that shuffles everything. But You're talking about a lot of stars and planets that have to align. You guys think about this. I know you got to go, but you think about this. If Georgia loses to Texas, Ole Miss beat Georgia, they got 3 losses. Alabama beat Georgia, they got 3 losses. Everybody's saying Georgia's a lock. And my question is, why would they be a lock? Because they lost to, they will have lost 3 ball games, one of them to Ole Miss, one of them to Alabama. Why would Georgia be in and either Alabama or Ole Miss would not be in? And you got another situation here. What happens if Oregon absolutely puts the kibosh on Penn State? Where does that put Indiana? There's a lot of people, I'm listening to a lot of radio shows today, who say that a 1-loss Indiana team would get bumped by a 3-loss SEC team. And I could see that happening.
Well, I mean, help me clear this up when I tell these folks, with our fine sponsors, TitanMRI.com. If you need an MRI, this is the place you need to go, because they'll custom make an appointment for you during the week or in the weekends. They also make it easier for you to get into the cage. They have bigger cages there for you. It's not so close. You don't get so claustrophobic. If you have an issue with your insurance, they'll take cash your card. They custom make the appointment for you, make it easy. If you need an MRI, I encourage you, go to Gainesville, TitanMRI.com. All right. So now here we are. I thought the idea, maybe I totally misunderstood this. I'm not very smart. I thought the idea was to get the best teams there as they were playing in real time to the playoffs. I thought if I'm not even a fan of South Carolina. If South Carolina is not the hottest team going right now among that bunch with 3 losses, I don't know who is. I could see them picking South Carolina to be for the playoffs. Is it a good decision? I don't know. But my gosh, you got to give them some consideration, Scott, don't you? A little bit?
If I was on the committee and Georgia loses, I certainly would give South Carolina some strong consideration for the point you just said. I mean, I think it's that term that we hear a lot now, recency bias. That's where Georgia is going to get favored if it comes down to Georgia, Ole Miss, South Carolina, because Georgia's been such a dominant program the last several years. They're just going to probably get the benefit of a doubt there. But I would probably go with South Carolina right now, because I want to see a team that's playing well, and that the way they're playing, they could beat a lot of good teams. And just this whole playoff picture right now, I love this because I remember a few years ago when it was Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State. It felt like the same 4 or 6 teams every year, right? And then I thought, well, if we get to 8 teams, at least by the number 9 team, they don't have a chance. Well, here we are at 12, and number 13, with the way this season's going. I mean, I know Oregon's undefeated number 1, but I just never look at those Oregon as like a Southeastern Conference team, or even a great Ohio State team. Maybe they are this year, I don't know. But I just like the fact that we're having these conversations. That's why it's great, man, to have this playoff.
Shane, South Carolina, what are you doing?
I mean, I think South Carolina. I think Georgia's in regardless of what happens, because they have to play this extra game. That's why I think they're in. Because if they, like Francis, they lose, they got 3 losses. Then how do you choose Georgia over Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina? That's why I just think they're going to put them in. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. I don't know out of all those teams with 3 losses, I don't know who I would take, because I know South Carolina's playing the best right now. I still think Ole Miss is damn good. Alabama, you never know what Alabama team's going to show up. Some games Milroe looks like Herschel Walker playing quarterback, right? Then there's other games he looks like Scott Carter playing quarterback some games.
Yes.
So, I mean, you just don't know. And again, like, Indiana's a great story, but I think if Indiana played any of those three teams I just said, would get destroyed.
Agreed.
France?
South Carolina didn't beat a top 10 team.
Yeah, that's
So
another good thing.
they didn't, their best win is over a number 18 team, and that's Clemson. And there's a P in there, by the way, with Clemson. There's no such place as Clemson. Clemson is I mean, that's their best win. I'm looking at their schedule, and they don't have a top 10 win. So how do you put them in there? They lost to LSU. They lost to Ole Miss by a ton. They played Alabama close. Okay, they beat the Aggies, and the Aggies, as we saw, faded. Their best win is over a number 18 team. Ole Miss beat Georgia when Georgia was number 2. Alabama beat Georgia when Georgia was number 1.
Speaking of which, how about Texas until Saturday? Had they even beaten a ranked team? I don't think so.
No, but they only had one loss too.
Yeah, but still, I mean, don't you have to at least beat a couple of ranked teams?
You can say the same thing about Penn State too, buddy. Penn State has played 3 convents, 4 homeless shelters, and a women's college. Which is that is your Big Ten schedule. You've got
Penn State was ranked number 1 or 2 though.
Penn State is terrible. I mean,
they're going to all work out in the wash, according to what you guys been telling me. Oh, you don't worry about it, buddy. It'll all work out in the end, Scott.
What I like is this: when we had 4 teams, you always had 2 teams that were butthurt, like FSU was last year. Now that we got 12 teams, we'll have 6 teams that are butthurt at the end, and everybody will be screaming about it. And my brother told me today the only practical solution is to have 8 conferences, and you have your 8 conference champs or automatic qualifiers, and then you play it off then you have 16 teams that play it off to play the 8 conference games.
I remember I cooked up. Somebody didn't call them conferences; they're called alliances, where you had them all playing the winners of those alliances. All right, I know Shane's got to go. He's got to get up at the crack of dawn for this important show because he has a star guest in the morning. I know he gets nervous about this. But Shane, who's on the Pot Up with Matthews show tomorrow morning?
Buddy, you're going to be the leadoff hitter for Nick Delatorre.
All right. Nick's good. Nick's got a new job.
Got a new job. He's working for the mighty Gator Florida Victorious these days.
Yes,
had his good-looking Florida Victorious sweater vest on Saturday night, and looking all Gatory and everything. Not bad for a UCF grad.
Yeah, so I guess he's allowed to wear that kind of stuff in the press box, huh, France?
I guess so. I remember when I was I got absolutely torched because I wore a jacket that had Gators on it, and I took the jacket off during the games because it was too hot in the arena, and I got torched by powers that be, up at the firm.
My hats always say Gator. Thanks to Shane Matthews, is his company.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, Shane, stop yawning and go to bed and get ready for me. I'm coming at you tomorrow morning. All right.
Bring it, buddy. Bring it. You fellas have a good night.
Oh, I'm all right. Thank you, Shane Matthews. All right, guys. Let's talk a little hoops for a second. I know, Scott, you don't do that. Harry does that usually. But we got a big game Wednesday night. All of a sudden, this basketball team is making some noise. First, give me your take, Scott, and we'll get friends and let Scott go to bed. He's been up for a while too.
No, I mean, it's a little bit. My take's a little bit with basketball, like football right now. They've got some real momentum. It feels like. They moved up to 13th day in the AP top 25.
Yeah,
both polls.
Yeah, both polls. And not only are they 8-0, I mean, they've been playing just really well. That win against Wichita, I know they haven't beaten the the Lakers or anything in the early going, but they're playing really well against who they played. And Virginia, this isn't I don't think it's strong.
Bad.
Yeah. It's not what we've become accustomed to under Tony Bennett. They're a program in transition. But so, I just like I like how the Gators are playing. I like the style of play. And I love the guard, Elijah Martin.
Martin.
A name like that, how could it be him? But great, of course.
I mean, the dude is just balling, and I mean, he looks, man. You just see this guy, and you're like, this guy's a player, man.
You look at him and you think, why isn't he playing strong safety in the NFL?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what he looks, and that's what I talked to his mama coming out of the ball game the other day, and she said he misses striking people. She said back in the day when he was he was a North Pike Jaguar, 6 miles from where I had some of my formative years. She said he just thought it was fun to lay somebody out, and so he's going to make it in the NFL, in the NBA though, because the way he plays defense and the way he can guard 4 positions, even at 6'2". He'll make it, if nothing else, on his defense in the NBA. But he's a heck of a player.
I'm so impressed how these guys rebound the ball. They snatch the ball to the board. I mean, they dominate when they're rebounding. They've got 4 or 5 rebounds in a row. Offensive rebounds, even when they're on their game, they can really rebound. When they're shooting good, almost nobody can approach them. Friends, how good is this team at rebounding versus the 04s, 05s?
Well, they don't have Al Horford. And if you want to start talking about rebounding, you got to start with Al Horford. And this team can really rebound the ball, but that team had Al Horford, who had,
and they had also the guy could block the ball pretty well too, which is a good
Horford and Noah and Corey Brewer. Corey Brewer blocked a lot of shots. Corey should have been the National Defensive Player of the Year in 2007, and he wasn't. I think Florida went into 2007, and everybody just expected they were going to win everything, so they gave a lot of stuff to other people. But nobody will ever convince me that in 2007 the National Player of the Year was not Al Horford. Nobody will ever convince me of that.
On the flip side of things, what about UConn? Holy mackerel. Lost 3 times.
Well, they lost the big guy in the middle, Corporal Klinger, is what they call it, Klingon, but everybody called him Corporal Klinger. They lost that big guy in the middle, and they don't have the protection on the rim that they've had in the past, and people are getting inside on them. That something that didn't happen the previous 2 years is people are getting inside on UConn. Dayton should have won 3. Dayton should have gone 3-0 at that tournament, and I felt bad for Anthony because I thought he got screwed out of one of the wins. The other one, it was just somebody got a shot and made it, but one of the games that I really thought that they got screwed, but I felt bad for Anthony. Anthony Grant's got a good ball club, and they beat UConn. I mean, they just beat them and should have beaten them. If you look, by the way, at right now in the coaches poll, the 2nd and 3rd ranked teams are SEC. In the AP, in the AP poll, you've got Auburn number 2, and you've got Kentucky number 4. The SEC, I've never seen the SEC this deep in basketball. Right now, everybody is talking about the SEC is going to get no less than 10 teams in the NCAA tournament. And I can see that. But, you look at this right now, the AP poll, 2, 3, and 4, Auburn, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Then you come down, you got Alabama, you got 11, Florida at 13. Oklahoma's at 21, Texas A&M 22, Ole Miss 23. That's a lot of good basketball teams in there. SEC basketball is going to be like SEC football this year in that it's going to be brutal. I'm telling you what, you go on the road in the SEC this year, you better, you you better bring your steel color, coated jock strap, because that's how bad it's going to be.
All right, I'm going to close this out with going back to football and this defense, which is a tremendous surprise. If you look at what this defense has just flipped around, I'm going to mention 3 or 4 guys. I want you guys to comment on them, and others I'm sure that we've forgotten about, but we hadn't seen that. I mean, George Gums, where did he come from? The guy playing the flag. He's been playing amazing football. You take guys like, I think, Scott, you mentioned, you tweeted something about Jack Pyburn. I mean, a fiery guy he is, and man, he's become quite the player. Cam Jackson, Caleb Banks, etc., etc. We know that DJ Lagway's having an amazing year, but some of those guys on defense, particularly since they had so many guys hurt in the secondary, have really played lights out. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this late season surge that we're talking about, it would not have happened without the defense playing the way it has. I think they've allowed less than 15 points a game in these last 3 games, 18 sacks over the last 3 games. But specifically, you look at this defense, and it's not like it's a defense that's just loaded with future NFL guys. And the highest rated NFL prospect at the start of the season, Jason Marshall Jr., missed half the season. And it's really been guys like Jack Pyburn, George Gums Jr., who you mentioned. I give Billy Napier and his staff credit. That's a good find by them. Jack Pyburn, to me, has been kind of the engine. He's made everybody better. He's cranked up. He's made some plays. He's funneled a lot of plays to his teammates. And I think he's maybe the unsung MVP over there, even though you've got some players who have more upside, in Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks. But then Trequazi Bridges in the secondary, I think he's been a critical part of it. Just after they lost all the injuries, all the guys from injuries, he's the one guy who stabilized it back there. He's a veteran. And I just think that was hugely important for them.
Playing corner or safety, and what a physical specimen he is, man. He feels to have that number 7 uniform. It really looks great. All right, so just to close this out, friends, from tonight, take that on, and then also talk about, let's go back to that day. They're saying, all the players and coaches are saying, something happened on the practice of November the 13th. This team was transformed and suddenly began to believe what they were doing in a way that they haven't. Scott, go ahead and comment and pass it to Francis.
Well, the practice on November 13th, that's, I don't know exactly that one. What I'm thinking of is, after the first bye week back in October.
Yeah.
And Billy talked recently. He said that practice, that Wednesday practice, was the most intense practice that he'd been involved in 20 years as a college coach.
Yeah.
After Tennessee.
Yeah,
no, it was before the Tennessee game.
It was after Mississippi State's game.
Okay.
And that is when they really started to, basically what they did there, they made it more competitive, and guys had to earn it more in practice. Turned up the competition, turned up the urgency, and then you saw some different players starting to crack the rotation. Like Justice Boone, for instance. We went into the season thinking Justice Boone was going to be one of their more prominent defensive players. He kind of became a non-factor, and obviously now is in the transfer portal because of guys like Jack Pyburn, Jaden Robinson getting more time.
EJ
linebacker. Yeah. So I think that's when you look back and really talk about this Florida football season and where it changed. You can pinpoint that, and I just think the competitive juices got to flowing, and some guys saw opportunity there and took them.
I couldn't agree more with Scott. And you look at this, Florida is now 8th nationally, 3rd in the SEC in sacks with 38. Yet they got one. Sapp has 7, Gums has 5, Caleb Banks 4.5. And then you got a lot of guys with 2, 1, etc., like that. It's not, and Scott was exactly right. There's not one guy that's just ripping and shredding, and you're saying to yourself, kind of like when Spurrier had Jadeveon Clowney, take Clowney out and there's no pass rush. This is a team that you take one guy out, okay, you're just opening the door for somebody else to get it, because the pressure, and that's the beauty of the creeper defense that Ron Roberts really is the master of, is because as one quarterback says, Sam Darnold said, when you play his defense, you're seeing ghosts, because you're looking over here for this guy to come, and the blitz is coming from completely from the other side or stuff like that. You're seeing things that aren't there, and that's where the beauty of this defense is. I mean, you look at what they did to Garrett Nussmeier, and that was against what a lot of people say is the best offensive line in the country, and they could not block people against the Gators. FSU, that poor kid for FSU probably lost 25 pounds. Just an exercise and weight off of him running for his life. He had 21 carries for the ball game, and 8 of them he got sacked 8 times. So those other 13 times, I think there were 3 designed runs, and the other 10 times that were carries, he was running for his life. He probably threw the ball away another 10 times running for his life. That was about as intense a game for pressure as I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah. All right, guys, I want to end it right there. Thanks very much. Great job, Scott. Great job, friends. Scott will catch up to you down the road. Friends, we'll talk to you on Thursday. Don't forget to read Friends and GatorbaitMedia.com, and also read Scott at FloridaGators.com. He writes some good stuff. If you want to know about the Gators, there's 2 guys right there who can tell you about that. Thanks so much, guys. Great job.
Thanks, buddy.
You guys have a good night.
Thank you very much. All right, folks, this is going to wrap up the show for the night. And we're going to tell you about our friends. I was out today to see Joey Sorrentino. I mentioned that because his dad, Joe, is one of the owners of Renstar Medical Research. And Joey, who graduated, what was his last year? What was Urban's last year? I guess about 10 years ago. Now is a very successful dentist. There's his picture again. I want to say married, has 3 children. Does a great job at there, and I was out to see him today about some dental work. But the Sorrentino family is, generally speaking, terrific people. And Joe and his partner, Mary Brantley, wife of Scott, they founded Renstar Medical Research to help the medical profession here and help us in our health. How they do that is they like for you to come in and take these trials, these clinical trials, which lead other people to data that can be used to give us better treatment in our health. And so I encourage you to go to their website, renstar.net, and look up and see what they've got coming up. Sometimes they're very simple. In some cases, you might get investigational medicine that nobody else can get. You certainly will be able to learn more about your health. And I encourage you to take part in this if you can. Help yourself, help Renstar, and help us by going there. And they've been doing this for a long time. They've been doing it really well. Continue to do it. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers for the health questions of today. Well, we made it through another day, folks. Headed back to home to Panama City tomorrow. We're broadcasting back there for you. It's been great here. Thanks again to our host, Carswell Ponder, here in Ocala. Good to be with you. Don and I have really enjoyed it. And also, tomorrow night we'll have Loren Meadows will be back on with his crew on the show, and Brendan and the guys, and then our regular schedule this week. Going to be interesting what bowl game they go to. Going to be interesting to see what they do in recruiting. A lot going on. So sign on, subscribe to this podcast, and if you'll be so kind, take a look at Gator Bait, something you might be interested in. If you want to know what's going on in the world of sports, want to know what's happening in the world of Gators, Gator Bait's a place that can tell you it's not a big box store. It is a really more of a boutique for people who like the Gators. So anyway, so thanks for listening. Thanks to our guests for Shane Matthews. Thanks to Scott Carter, and thanks to Franz Beard for their participation. And we're back at you tomorrow night, same time, same station, right here on the Buddy Martin Show.